the current president of NOC, Paul Tergat, there speaking on many issues currently affecting the sports here in Kenya and what he's going to do when it comes to office. That interview, we had it earlier and we replayed it for you there. So welcome to the church this afternoon, and we are lucky to host Football Kenya President Nick Mwendwa with us here today for the very first time alongside Maxwell is still back here. Mr. President, welcome to the touchline. First of all, what advice do you give to Paul Tergat, because it is the first time and your first time was not that easy?
Patience.
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 Welcome to the touchline. Let's go ahead and talk the state of Kenyan football. The way you found it, where it is today, what has changed?
Lots and lots. I mean, I think it's like night and day, if you ask me, because there was actually no federation, I could say that. We're in such a bad state for about 25 years, and we were talking about not having water, not having offices, not having the basics of life. It's like when you have children and they have no food at home, you can't talk about school, my friend. So you have first to work to get them food, and then now you can think about buying them books to go to school. These things come in systematically, and I think Kenya football was in that state. So since then, we were in bad books with FIFA. That was the first. That is the lowest point. That is the worst thing. If the body that runs the game is in bad books with you because you have embezzled some funds, because you have mismanaged a place, the first thing is to work to make sure you get back to good books, because football is an international sport. You cannot play football in isolation. No country in the world likes to be banned. Even Kuwait, the guys who got banned for so long, they still come lobbying to us to be returned back. And so that was the first thing. The first thing was that we are doing very badly. We had been suspended by FIFA in terms of financial support. That was out, so we went in, we did some audit, we brought that back, we made sure that we are back in the good books of FIFA. We moved from the famous swimming pool around the place. I was there yesterday. It's looking very bad. We moved from there to our gold project, which was dilapidated and stuff has been stolen. We moved in and had a secretariat, a place where you can go and you can be served. Basics first. So those things were in place. We had good staff, we employed, we had people started serving Kenyans. And then from there we went into football development, because that is the area where we lacked. It is not performing at the top level that was the problem. The problem was laying the foundation that will make us succeed in future. Because you cannot start climbing a tree from the top. You have to start from the bottom. And so what we did is that we went in and started with coaching. You cannot have kids being trained by nobody. So started with coaching, 2,000 coaches, 2016, 2017. Basic, this is what is football. You're being trained what is football. How should you pass the ball? What types of passes are there? How can you assess a small kid and know whether they have potential or not? Basic things that we did, 2,000 coaches last year. Then we moved on under 13 league, nationally, in 43 sub-branches, all culminating to selecting an under 13 national team for the first time in the history of Kenya. So we moved on to that, and that team went to Southampton this year in June for the first time. The federation picking kids across the country, sponsoring them to a high caliber tournament. Not some funny Gothia Cup. No. A high caliber tournament against Chelsea, against Porto, to measure ourselves for the first time. That's what we did. That is such a big thing for us. Then we moved into partnerships on education. Our syllabus now is between Kenyatta University, FKF, CAF, and FIFA. One syllabus. So that as we train them, in future you will see them with their gowns at KU, receiving their diplomas. This partnership is now in place. Very important. Again, basics to start making that flow, to start making that move. And now what we are doing with that team is that we have identified a school where we'll put that team, all of it. We will improve the footballing facilities of that school. And in the next 2 weeks, we're going to launch that. We'll move those kids to play together, live together every day, and play, be coached by the topmost of coaches. Stay together for the next 5 years. And I can promise you, my friend, in 5 years from today, you will see those kids, they play.
You are taking them to Form 1 now in one school.
Yeah, there is class 8 and Form 1.
Yes.
In one school, because the difference is 12 and 13. In one school, they will play together, they will live together every day. They'll have the same coaches from now for the next 5 years. They played against under 20 girls. It was like a joke. 13-year-olds against under 20s. Of course, it's women.
Yeah.
But you can see what they're doing. I can tell you in 5 years, you're talking about going to the top. And that is where the fabric begins. Now, next year, we'll have they will move to under 15. Then we'll have another under 13. The point is to have a conveyor belt of talent coming through. So that is particular what we did. Then we moved to referees. Our referees, the training was a problem. KPL were doing what we call pet by themselves. Personal enduring. So that is our job. So we took that over again. And every beginning of season and mid-season, we have to test our referees. Are they fit? Okay. Theoretically, do they know what they're doing? Do they understand the laws of the game? What is their performance? We are reviewing their performance. So we know, should we keep you or should we remove you? You know, that area was a major problem. And you will notice, the problems in refereeing have come down. We used to have major issues when I came in. Now they've come down because we are very serious. Their equipment used to be sold. I'm not making fun, Maxwell. Their equipment should be sold in shops. So now we've taken that. They get their equipment, they get their everything. And at CAF, we have top referees. And you have seen in the last 1 year, our referees going to the finals and doing their job and doing their best, putting their best foot. So that's a major component of the game. Then now we move on to national teams, the women game, starlets, of course, Cup of Nations. Good point to be. You know, finals, the CAFA last year, Cup of Nations. The ladies have done so well for us because the ladies game in the world is growing. So what did we do? Pick them up, clean them up. They used to sleep in changing rooms. They used to have no food. They used to have no transport. They used to share a uniform with men. Okay, put that in order. Put them the same conditions as men, the same allowances as men. Clearly, you can see that was the work. But not just that. Now we have to build the fabric of the game. So under 20 national team. The women game and the men game are two different things. Because women develop differently. The state of the game is different. Sponsors don't want to be involved in women game. Because they're saying, who is watching? Who is watching? If you have a game at 2, who is watching? The men are not watching in the bar. And these guys, the betting chaps that I've seen around here, they want people who are watching. And so the women game has to be developed. But it's a potential area that we are looking at. So under 20, we file under 20 that has never been there again. And now, as you know, we're going to play Ghana. After Ghana, if we win against Ghana home and away, we'll play either Sierra Leone or Cameroon. And we go for the first time our aim to a World Cup. Kenya has never been to a World Cup.
And now before we head there, of course, it's been 1.5 years since you took over from Sam Nyamwe as Football Kenya Federation President in February 2016, that's last year. And I covered you several times during campaigns. And one of your chief objectives was to help the national team Harambee Stars qualify to 2022 World Cup in Qatar with prior preparations, establishing structures and measures in place, especially at the grassroots. How has been that so far?
National teams. You know, we came to a place where players used to pay for themselves to come for national team matches. Ayub Timbe was owed 350K when I came to office. I'm giving a practical example.
Yes.
In tickets, he used to pay for himself to come, let alone allowance. Forget about allowances. All right? So what do? The first thing, do the basics first. In life, you lay the foundation. Clean them up. Put them in good hotels. Make sure those basics are done. Of course, you can't be 100% because you have so many things that you have to do at the same time. So put the national teams in order, clean it up. And we, in Africa, it's a start. You need to look it up. Kenya has played the most matches, international matches, for both women and men. We have never missed a window. All right? FIFA has noted that Kenya has played the most matches since I took over, both for men and women. And you can see progressively that there's progression. But when I came to office, we said, you know what, we have a team in place. Let's make efforts to make sure that team is in good shape. That's okay. But let's also remember that this team is not the one that will take us to 2022. In the current squad that's there right now, maybe 1 or 2 will make it.
Yes.
Maybe the 18-year-old and the 20-year-old will make it. But the truth is that David, the captain,
will
Will
not
not be
make
there.
it to 2022.
Now, so they thought about what you shall do. And that's why you saw us entering the under-20 team, which has done so well under John Kamau. That under-20 team stays together, continues to play. That's why you saw us go around the country and start the difficult job of identifying that under-17. And we were vindicated because the age of our team, if you remember in Zambia,
Yes.
we made Zambia be disqualified because we said, let us be beaten, but let us for the first time start fielding the right age of players. We went around the country. Yes, we lost matches, but we had the right team. Now those kids are starring in their schools today because of the work we did last year. So we put them together. Now they're going to replace the under-20s. And from the 17s and 20s, now we move to under-13s. So we have 13s, next year we'll have 15s, then we'll have 17s and 20s. That way, the conveyor belt rolls. Let me tell you, we faced a major problem because you need strikers in a country. And traditionally, in this country, we've always had one striker who scores. Since I started following football, we've always just had Michael Koth, Dennis Oliech, now Michael Olunga. It's a trend. That guy gets injured, doesn't perform, you're in trouble. And so, why is that? It's because we're depending on their talent. We don't work on them. We don't work on the country to have 100 players who can perform. And we cannot do that overnight. So what are we doing? We're having the under-13, under-17, and the centers we're establishing, and these 36 kids we picked last year to stay in school, to be coached by the German over the next 4 years, 3 years, so that we can cook that which we have been lacking consistently. Because it is the only way we can guarantee that we shall have a talent. Now we have a problem. And so when you look, you will see that even yesterday, Michael Olunga scores. When we went to Sierra Leone, Michael Olunga scores. Now just imagine. And I asked Dennis Oliech one day, because when he took over, I wanted to offer him a job to work with our strikers. Nice. And he says, Nick, he turned it down, that's okay. But he said, Nick, the problem why the strikers don't perform is because whenever you're called your top scorer of the Premier League, you go to the national team, you find there's a striker who already performs. All right? And you're not given enough time to play at that stage, at that level. Then you're not moved out of the country. You continue playing where? Here. So you don't get the exposure, which makes you go to that top level. And that is why for 10 years, Dennis Oliech, almost 60% of the goals were Kenyan goals. He was scoring. Now you see that is the trend that Michael Olunga is taking. Tomorrow we're playing Thailand. And we're saying, how do we solve this problem? So like Kenya has 4 strikers, like every other country. And normally they ranked. You see this one performs top, but even when he's not there, there's another 2 who are competing. And then when they move up, there's a few kids that are coming through. That's what we want. And how do we do that? 13, 17, 20. Then you can pick.
Quick one, I wanted to ask about the syllabus because you brought the word Germany.
Yes.
Is our syllabus Germany based right now, or what is it?
Our syllabus is a mix of what we have learned as a country. How is our talent? How are our people? What kind of football do we want to play? There was a symposium by technical people, and we made a decision that Kenya will play a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3. And for that to happen, what kind of fullback do we need? What kind of striker do we need? And for that to do that, what kind of training do we need to give our coaches so that they can bring that to bear on the pitch in the next 15 years? Yes. And once that was agreed at KU, then they made a syllabus that suits that. Yeah. They went and borrowed from UEFA. They went and borrowed from CAF. And now we have done 2,000 coaches at that basic, 198 coaches at CAF C. These CAF C guys who qualify now will go to CAF B towards the end of this year. And then next year we'll have CAF A, which is the top level you can do. Now, on the same note, is that we took Stanley Okumbi, David Ouma, and Michael Amenga this year to Germany.
Yes.
Each for 3 weeks for top level national coaching. And every year in the next 4 years, they will return until they attain the topmost grade. And we are committed to it. Why? The only way we can do that is have a big pool of coaches with good technical ability, so that even if you don't have this one, you have this one, the change is not big because we have agreed how Kenya needs to play.
And then that syllabus, because for a very long time, people complain about structures. And once I talked to Francis Kimanzi, he said, in Kenya we have got structures, it's us who do not follow them. We've got schools, we're training more than 2,000 coaches. We have got 198 coaches at the top level right now. Will these coaches be dispersed to schools? Because our talent comes from the primary school to the secondary school level, then they come to the league level. Will these coaches now be taken to those schools, or what will be happening?
Key point is that we are having a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
So that this curriculum of ours, the Ministry of Education admits it.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
That way, the teachers who stay with our kids in secondary and primary school, we begin to train them. 1, 2. But as we train them, these 2,000 coaches who are in Kitale, who are in Kilifi, they can be admitted to schools for football purposes because they are trained and the syllabus is acknowledged by the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
That way, in the school games, as you have seen this year, FKF takes charge of the footballing aspect and identifies the kids. Mazembe has been in Morocco, most valuable player. So every year, the top scorer, the most valuable player, the best kids, FKF identifies those and they move to under 20 or under 17. All right? But as that is being played, we are scouting so that we can pick those kids and bring them to the setup. So we can move this kid and say, this kid is so good, he needs now to go to the school we are partnered with to stay with the others. And that work is going on through the technical director's office. And so it's a very systematic job that has never been done, and which is geared towards ensuring that when we are not here, Kenya will still have a conveyor belt production of the kids. But the hard part is to set up the system today. And that's what we are doing. It is the biggest part of our administration. That development. It is not Harambee Stars winning against Iraq.
Yes.
That is big. It is making sure that this problem that we have had for 35 years can be dealt with in the next 15 years. Just like Germany in 2000, when they said enough, let's go back and redo this.
Yes.
So our national teams are in that sense, we play Thailand tomorrow, which is a good thing. But more important is that as we work on the talent we have now, which has limits, you will realize that in right back there is a problem. When so and so is not there, when you bring a replacement, you're lacking. So from time to time you find that 3 or 4 players are not at the level that you might have wanted. But what do you do when you never invested in developing the marksman to get to that level? So instead of complaining, now what we're doing is laying that foundation. And I'm telling you that by 2019, by 2020, that foundation will be in place. And so every year you will see that being churned. This under 13 team will stay together. Next year they will go to MCI, the top tournament where Messi was playing and Kaka and all this. They will play against Argentina. They will play against Brazil next year. Then they will go again to Southampton and Leicester in June. And every year they will do that and play a regional tournament. Then they'll get bigger and stronger. So there's feeding that we are doing them. There's physio that are working on them. There's technique. There's all these things. Because at that time you can alter them and make sure you produce what you want.
And now from that, from the basic foundation you're laying, especially at the grassroots, to ensure that the potential, especially at the local level, are channeled through to the national team. Let's talk about CECAFA Senior Challenge Cup. Good riddance for African Nations Championship, China tournament meant for local based players. It was earmarked for early next year in January, but Kenya missed out on hosting it. And I've seen you alongside CECAFA Secretary General Nicholas Musonye crisscrossing several parts of the nation in partnership with county presidents to ensure that CECAFA takes place in Kenya later this year. Details about the same and whether it's good riddance.
So one is that Kenya is hosting CECAFA Challenge Cup. And it's a good thing for us because we want to revive CECAFA. There's been no football in the region for 2 years.
Yes.
And so the first thing I had as a president is to go and revive CECAFA because I have to play my part in it. I am glad they've allowed us to host CECAFA Challenge Cup. And I can tell you, Maxwell, there was no one else willing to host it and ready to do it. And so when I came in, I said, guys, I'm happy to host this. And so we are targeting to do this in 3 stadiums. 12 countries. 12 countries.
Confirmed participation?
Yes, 10 countries confirmed in the CECAFA region, except Djibouti and Eritrea. All the other countries, Zanzibar, South Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda,
yes.
All those will be here. But we are also inviting 2 teams, guest teams from COSAFA,
Yes.
And we are hoping that will be Zambia and Zimbabwe. And so those will join us. So we went to see the governor in Kakamega, because Kakamega and the western part of this country is a place where there's enthusiasm of the game. And so we want to bring to bear that enthusiasm by saying that we can bring to town our biggest tournament at this point, so that we can start to change the perception. So we went to Bukungu, we're looking at Bukungu or Mumias. Bukungu is being made. We were impressed by the work that they've done, although there's still more work to be done.
Yes.
If Bukungu will be ready, then we will do in Bukungu. If we want to be ready, then we're going to go to Mumias. We are going to Kisumu this coming week. We want to talk to Kisumu and see if they can move away that dumping site next to the beach, which they have promised they are doing. Then we can have Kenya being hosted at Kisumu. Then we are moving to Nakuru. Nakuru have accepted and said they can host it. We're going to meet them again. So we have 3 venues.
Nakuru is Afra Stadium?
Afraha Stadium. So we have Nakuru, Kakamega, and Kisumu.
Kisumu,
yeah. Each venue 4 teams as required.
Yes.
And doing it standard, so we have a quarterfinals and a semi-finals and a final. And this is between 25th of December and 9th. 25th of November and 9th of December is when this will take place. It's a big thing for us because we want to demonstrate to the world that, you know, we're fixing Kasarani and Nyayo, Kinoru, and Kipkeino. Those are being sorted out, so we cannot play there. Because remember, we want that finished, and when that is finished, we are bidding for U20 World Cup or U17 World Cup and AFCON Women for 2020, either of those 3. So our target is under 17 World Cup. If we don't get that, we get under 20 World Cup 2019, and if we don't get that, then we get 2020 Women Championship.
And talking about the uplifting of the facilities, Kipkeino, Kenyatta, Kasarani and Nyayo, prior to the pronouncement of a country that will host CHAN next year, the government had allocated some funds towards the same duty. Does it still remain? Yeah,
I have been told by government that we continue to do the work. There was some sessions in Parliament, and on Monday we'll establish what happened with it. But I am assured, and yesterday I was at Nyayo for some inspection, and the construction is going on. I have put pressure, and we continue to put pressure as FKF to make sure that government finishes. Let me tell you what is important and why we have to wake up. While we are working on the technical expertise, while we are working on making our kids, the other big area that has not been worked on at all is our infrastructure.
Sports infrastructure.
All right? Why? Because before I came here, you never had government and FKF going to partner, to start and doing something on Stadia together. Now what we want to target is not only do we fix Nyayo, and we fix Kasarani, Kipkeino, Kinoru, now Kisumu, and why are we taking Sekafa to the other venues? It's very important for you to note. We're trying to upgrade Bukungu, Mumias, Afraha, Kisumu. If we bring Sekafa, the condition is remove the dump. We think they will do it.
Yes.
That way then, the dump will not come back. You understand? That way then we can have stadia where we can play. Now if you have Bukungu, you have Mumias, you have Afra, you have Kisumu, you have Municipal in Mombasa and Baraki, all right? Then you have Kasarani, you have Kinoru. Already you can have 16, 17 stadia that we can play in. But important is that we are engaging counties to say we want every county to have an 8,000-seater stadium, 47 of them. And I have already engaged a couple of them. I can tell you that I'm in discussion with Sonko for City Stadium, and we have agreed that he's going to do City Stadium to make it a proper and fantastic stadium. We're going to make it the same as Nyayo. I can tell you that I've had a chat with Kitui, they're going to have one. I've had a chat with Machakos, already has a stadium. Makueni is already being done. We've had a couple governors are ready to do it and not waiting from next year, so we can do it. So that way then, we can move football development. So if you have an NSL match, it's in stadium. All right? So that we can have centers of development around those stadiums when we are doing this for our under-13s. This way the effort we're doing as FKF goes along with the counties. Very important to understand, because that is a big job, but it will not be done by one day. It's a 10-year job. How many governors are we going to convince in the next 5 years to have a stadium? Maybe 10.
Of course, several questions
That's
trickling in. We have FKF President Nick Mwendwa on the set talking about state of Kenyan football overall. This is the touchline. If you're just joining us right now, my name is Maxwell Wasika alongside Robert Osora. And of course, you can interact with us via social media handles and our messaging WhatsApp line 0700345457. Our SMS line starting with touchline is 22165. Keep your contributions coming, asking questions. Several questions are already coming. And of course, before we get into that, President, of course, after failing to host CHAN, you talked about a bidding of 2019 under 17 and under 20, and as far as I'm concerned and where I see it, the deadline was November 1st. How is that possible? Probably if Kenya is likely to face a ban.
So let me talk about that, Wasika.
Yes.
You know, it's good when some of us pronounce something. We don't pronounce it because we want to make fun of Kenyans. We pronounce it because we believe in it. When I said I believe in hosting CHAN, I meant it. And as FKF president, I went all out because that's what my job is. I went all out to fight for it. That was my job. That's my job. Now, about U20 and U17, as you can see, India is hosting U17 World Cup right now. At U17 World Cup, the FIFA Exco will meet. And the FIFA Exco will change the format of U17 and U20 World Cups. Why? Robert, it's good to understand. Because when we went for FIFA Symposium, we realized that these tournaments, youth tournaments, are biannual. So normally there is a year in which we meet a generation of our U17 or U20. And so people propose that every year we need U20 and U17. So FIFA is going to bring that format in India to pass that resolution so that every year there will be a U20 and U17. That is point number one. That is why that deadline will not apply. Because now there will be new regulation. That's one. Two, once they make it every year, it means that U17 will not be in 2019 only. It will be every year. It will be in 2019, it will be in 2020, it will be in 2021. That means that Kenya now has a chance to host it. Not just that, they are going to change and make sure that it is the confederations that propose the country that will host the tournament. All right? Now, when I said that knowing those things. But some people go and scribble around Wikipedia and pick a date when they do not understand what this is. So it's good for people to understand how Kenya will bid. Kenya will bid because from this year going forward after India, every year there will be a U20 and a U17. That will give us a chance to bid for it. And I agreed with CAF that they will propose Kenya. Should I show them that my 4 stadium are ready? So I told government, guys, let's not dishearten. You know, when you're beaten once, you should gather more energy. All right? Let's not dishearten. Let's make this stadium now. Let's continue with the work we have been. That's why you've seen me in Bukungu. That's why you'll see me in Afraha. Because I want this stadium ready. After that, now let's go and bid. Not to bid and then build the stadium. No. To go and say, our stadium are here. They are ready. Give us a tournament. Easy conversation.
Well, one thing we have to be frank about, we lost CHAN as a country because of sports infrastructure. Not because FKF was not working, not because government was not working. We just 100% did not have sports infrastructure. One thing in CAF licensing that was also coming is that when they came and everybody was checking them, we need our clubs also to have their home grounds. We don't want that you are in Bukungu, FC Leopards, you are depending on the government. You are, I don't know, Gor Mahia, you are depending on Nyayo Stadium. Your link is development. FKF work is development. It's not building stadium and all that. But no, one question is, how are you going to help the likes of Moroni too, the likes of Chemelil too, come into this game? Because at the end of the day, I want that Chemelil fan to say, my home is Chemelil, Gor Mahia is coming to my home, we're having that match. If, like now, there's this big conversation that Qatar might lose 2022, they'll just say, give it to England because they have got sports infrastructure. Give it to any other country that is already there. How are we going to help these other guys?
So let me speak to this point. We lost CHAN because of 2 points. And I want to be very clear.
Yes.
Because it lays the foundation for us to build our nation.
Yes.
Losing Chad is not demise. Losing Chad is laying a foundation for us to ensure that we can raise up and be better. We lost because first, our uncertainty of politics. Everybody was saying, guys, you guys are doing demos every week. You might continue doing these demos into January. All right? Yes. That was the first reason. And I was very clear with the guys. Second is they said, Kinoru and Eldoret, you guys will not be ready. I was convinced that we can be ready. All right?
Yes.
They were convinced we can't be ready. And they're the decision makers. My job is to push and make sure that it's clear because I was pushing the job to be done. So that is past. Now let's come to the issue of stadium. Why are we insisting that counties own stadium? It's because our clubs today, what's their income? Let's look at our biggest clubs. It is possible that our biggest club does 90 to 100 million a year.
Yes.
It's possible that is the range. Okay? But generally, a Kenyan club is between 30 million and 50 million in income, which goes directly to administering that club. All right? Now, when you look around the world, you go to Tunisia, you go to Morocco, and about their stadium, is that the level of investment in the game is higher. That is why they can spare $200,000, $500,000 every year to invest in a long-term project for a stadium. All right? So what we are saying is this. Because in Africa, we have to leap. We can't jump. We have to go step by step. What we're going to do is have each county with a stadium, have the clubs adopt this stadium, all right? In the meantime, work to increase the general income of these clubs in the next 10 years so that Muhoroni's income is 500 million shillings. And that way then, bring a program where we require them to have a home ground in X number of years. But before then, in the next 10 years, the truth is that the counties are the ones that must step in and solve this problem for us. So that Vihiga have their own county stadium, where also other events of the county are done. But it is Vihiga Stadium. Mombasa the same. Machakos now has already. So if you had Machakos United, they'll play there. So they have already a home ground. That is the route we have to take. If we don't do that, and you require Kariobangi Sharks to have a stadium today, they will be weighing. Is it the club we're going to run? Or is it based on this income? So this is how we have to build it. And then in future, perhaps in 25 years, you will have clubs that build their own stadium because you're looking at, let me tell you, you're looking at a basic stadium, not the one to host a Cup of Nations match. But a basic stadium will cost you upwards of 1.2 billion shillings.
President, let's wind up on the questions trickling in. Of course, Moses Gowi is asking whether you want to stick with Stanley Okumbi as the head coach, despite the dismal show in big matches, or you have other plans for the technical bench and the hierarchy. Moses Gowi, SMSing from Kisumu. Major Frederick in Machakos. I thought President Nick Mwendwa was going to resign after Kenya failed to host CHAN. What happened? Though I'm impressed with whatever he's doing, despite the country not being in position to host the tournament meant for local best players. That is Major Frederick. Thanks for your questions. Crispin Magak is asking what happened as far as Mafro kit sponsorship is concerned. And another question, of course, from Ian Waga asking about how you will manage Kenya to qualify for CHAN despite not being host, because they were to qualify by the virtue of being automatic.
So let's go on. So let's go on one by one about Okumbi.
Stanley Okumbi.
And the conversation about Okumbi. There is a group of people that are obsessed with firings of coaches. All right? And it doesn't work. Joachim Low has been coaching Germany for how many years?
2006 is when he came on board.
I'm sorry. I have a problem with some of the thinking. Yes, I want to analyze performances. And I have said many times, Robert, at the point when we shall conclude that Okumbi is unable to do the job, he will go. But I never took office to come and say that we are going to win AFCON. In fact, Max, if you remember, because you interviewed me many times in my campaigns, I never even promised 2019 Cup of Nations. And you can go and look through your archive. I never did. And Robert, if you remember, I never did. Because I knew it's a challenge. Of course, we have a chance. And we will keep working and trying. Do we want to develop this group of coaches who who have never been developed to become world-renowned, international-level coaches, local resource? Or do we want to go and take our $25,000, $40,000 a month, which we can't afford, and invest in foreigners when we have not worked on the raw materials to give them to work with? So our approach is to make the raw material, be ready, and at that point when we have that raw material, then we can invest a lot more. It is probably at that time you will find that Okumbi or Kamau or those guys, one of them is actually ready to do it for us. And I can tell you, we used to pay a coach.
Yes.
Coaches who never performed anywhere near Okumbi. We used to pay them 3 million bob a month. And
Yes.
the stats are there, Robert. I'm not talking.
They have not
the-
won
the
10
stats,
matches.
The stats are there. The statistics
everybody
are
to
there.
see.
Yeah.
Now, we are paying today a fraction of our budget for a proper, decent performance. Of course, in football, from time to time we will have a setback, but we'll continue to review. If Okumbi we find we are doing Sekafa, we are coming up to this critical match, and we feel they cannot perform, then we will find a solution to it. But this idea of some people who are, I think some of them are drunk with the issue of every time fire coach, it is not our philosophy. And if you look at where I've come from, actually, and the clubs that I've run, we don't wake up in the morning and fire coaches like that, because we do not believe that is the philosophy we should be having. And as a nation, I do not think that's what we want to do. So that's Okumbi's question.
Yes.
And so we move on to the issue of Mafro. Mafro, and this is a point I want to be very clear about, and Robert, is very important. We have a problem as a country, not just a country in Africa.
Yes.
Adidas, Nike, Puma, they do not want to touch a nation that is below number 30, number 40.
In the FIFA rankings.
They don't want to touch, that is one. Yeah. Two, they also do not want to touch a country where replicas are sold, but where there is a culture of manufacturing them on River Road. So tell me, Nick, don't come to us, because you guys make Puma on River Road. So the bigger brands, they walked away. The mid-tier brands, which is your Jomas, your Ereas, all these guys, we went to them. And when we approach them, we say, okay, we will kit your Harambee Stars national team. But the other teams, all of them, remember, we have 7 teams. So they want to kit Harambee Stars, then we buy for all the other 7. You see, that doesn't work. Yeah. Because let me tell you, we need 600 pieces of kit for every team. 600 pieces of kit for every team. So we were looking for a sponsor who can at least dress all our teams. And so Zambia had signed up Mafro. Zimbabwe had signed up Mafro.
Yes.
They recommended to us. Say, this is a good guy, he's coming up, he can do this and sell replicas. So we signed them up. But the guy didn't have what it takes, because he got Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Kenya very quickly, didn't have what it takes. And we didn't know, because they gave us a document, we looked at it, we said, okay. So they were not able to deliver, and as per contract, that's why we removed them. We continue on our path, Maxi, to find a suitable solution for Kenya as a country, for uniform. In the meantime, we have a Kenyan who's a distributor in Mombasa that does Alsport, and we buy from them at a good price, and you can see we have not had a problem dressing all our national teams. Now then we come to the issue of replicas. Until then we solve this issue that has plagued our country and the region. You will say Uganda,
yes,
for a while, then is when we solve the replica issue. So then once we do that, we can even decide, and we're looking at it, to even do our own, go and find manufacturers, manufacture our own. That way then we have, and we didn't want to go in the business of distributing uniform. You know, we are a football. So that is a Mafro story. It's very good for it to be understood. Then we had the other question about my resignation, which some people also have this. This is what I said, Robert. I said that if FKF will not execute its responsibility as should, and that then should cause Kenya to lose CHAN, I will walk. So let's go and look at why we lost CHAN, which I've talked about. It has nothing to do with FKF. Now, I want to remind you that we started preparing for CHAN. We should have started in February of 2014. Between February of 2014 and February of 2016, when I took power, 2 years, nothing was done.
The conversation was not happening.
Actually, even you guys of media never talked about CHAN. It is only when we got here that we did 6 inspections. And we did it. So it's important for you to understand that. There's another question I think that has
Of
been
course,
asked.
Junior Jacob asking about the performance and selection of the national teams, whether it's being influenced. Of course, he's SMSing from Bungoma. Then Francis from Langat asking about what you're doing to bring a permanent
Solution.
broadcast on board after SuperSport went.
So the issue
Two
of
questions.
selection of the team, again, Robert, I came here courtesy of one club, Kariobangi Sharks. Some people who, and this is politics, I sit in a political seat and I appreciate it and I understand it. I came here because of that team. Yes. I will not wipe out that team and all its foundation from Kenya just because I'm president. Some people feel that way. We have quality players in that team. Sometimes they happen, like right now, Patila Omoto and Masoud Juma are in the national team. If the coaches feel that these players can play there, then so be it. If they feel that they can't play there, then so be it, because they have rights. But some people have turned this topic to be a nonsense topic. Let me tell you why. Because we are trying to build the game. We have built a squad. Today you know Harambee Stars, even though you don't know whether Simon Bogo will play, today you have an idea that Michael will be there, that David will play. We have returned to a culture of knowing our national team. But some people, when we lose, have to find a reason. Whenever we win, you will never hear them asking this question. But if we lose, they're always asking. Why? Because I'm the president, and they have to aim these salvos at us. And so for me, the issue of selection doesn't arise, and it's not something I want to dive into. The coaches continue doing their job. Your last question is about broadcast right now. Let me calm down. SuperSport left. And SuperSport left because they were unable to execute their business in this market. SuperSport leaving had nothing to do with Nick Mwendwa. Some people, until they say Nick Mwendwa.
Actually, not Nick Mwendwa, 16 versus 18.
It had nothing to do with 16 versus 18. Mm-hmm. These guys had prepared. Actually, their general manager of the region had already moved last year in October to Zambia in preparation for leaving this year. So they looked at our contract with KPL and they went and picked a weakness which they used to exit. They also exited Ghana for the same reason. So the issue of SuperSport had nothing to do with us. Now, what has happened since then is that we have come in and talked to a few people and proposed a deal to KPL. Robert.
Yes.
That is bigger than SuperSport. So we are waiting to hear from KPL what they say. If they accent to it, there will be more money in KPL next year than this year. So I'm waiting to hear.
Of course, it's been a quality conversation, sober talk, exclusive and live on Touchline Y254. Maxwell Wasike, Robert Osoro are taking you through, and FKF President. It was glad to have you on board. Thank you for making time to be with us. Of course, thanks to Barry Otieno, the communications manager of FKF, for enabling this to happen. And of course, you can catch the repeat of this interview during Sports Arena on KBC English Service with Daniel Wahoma. And of course, the President is headed to KBC Channel 1 for Game On with Amfa PD. Thank you, President.
Thank you.
And all the best.
Thank you, Robert.
The conversation continues. Of course, this is the Touchline. We're taking a short break, and as we come back, we want to wind up. Let's do this.